Good morning, guys. It's Monday, the 12th of March, 2018. My name's Chris, and welcome to the DAX Trader webinar. We're going to take a look at the outlooks for various markets today. There's about 16 markets I normally look at, and then we'll look at some cryptocurrencies as well at the end. I'm going to start off with the DAX and take a look at the outlooks and see if there's any opportunities for this week. All right, so first things first, before we get started, trading financial markets is risky. It involves the risk of losing our invested money. Now, we're not providing any financial advice here, implied or otherwise. If you decide to enter a trade off the back of any information contained in this video or the website, then you'll need to do so completely at your own risk. All right. Okay, so the DAX has started off pretty bullish this morning. We've had a gap higher. I think we've gapped around about 60, 70 points. And, well, we were certainly 6, 70 points higher than where we started on Friday evening anyway. And we have broken out through a fork that I had pitched on these three swings here. And we've gapped the upper median line parallel. We actually tagged the warning line, which is a sliding parallel from the upper median line parallel. And we've since taken that one out as well. So Alan Andrews normally says that once you've gapped a median line, it often comes back to retest that zone. In this particular case, doesn't seem to be doing that, but we'll continue to watch it to see how it plays out. We have got a more interesting pattern as well, which has been developing on the 4-hour chart, which is this wedge. It was looking like a bit of a bear flag, but it seems to have extended on quite a while now. We are definitely coiling up, so keep an eye on that particular formation to see how it plays. So for the DAX, that's pretty much what I'm looking at. We are bullish even. It's pretty clear, and making higher highs, higher lows. It's not really that much to argue with here. It's just a case of looking for an opportunity to buy a dip if we can, assuming that the trend continues. And I think the reason for some of the bullish sentiment is really the fact that Donald Trump's saving the world. We've got some interesting stuff happening with the political side of things in Germany. And despite the tariffs that might be being applied to the aluminium and literally could be affecting the car industry, I think that the German response so far has actually been pretty positive. So we remain bullish, and I think for me the trend defining level will be somewhere down here, probably second swing back, somewhere around the 12,200 zone. All right, we'll go and look at that in a bit more detail in a moment, but I did publish a strategy not that long ago about how to look at trading on the DAX, and there was an opportunity to get short this morning. In actual fact, I think it seems to be playing out as I'm speaking right now. Never mind. So let's continue. Let's start off with the Forex side of things then. We're going to go on to the euro dollar, hourly charts on every single one of them. And the only things that I'm going to have on my charts will be a mini volume profile, 14 days, and just a composite profile, as well as just where some of the swings are, some of these levels. And it's always a good practice to get into mapping out where the swings are, find out who's in control, which direction it's currently going, just based on facts, not on your own personal opinion or bias or where you want it to go, but what actually has happened. And so you'll probably start somewhere down here, and you can just simply mark them out and just say high highs, high lows, high highs, high lows, high highs, higher lows. This one failed to make any progress above that previous one, so you could say that this double top is actually a failure to continue this trend. And then since taking out that low, and you've effectively started to ask the question of whether or not this is a broken trend. I tend to like to look at the second swing back, which will be this guy here. And once that one is taken out, it would suggest that this is a trend reversal. And so now I'll be watching this high to see whether it's taken out this high. But really, we're kind of going to be bearish below that at the moment. And the job of whatever is going to happen if this moves to the downside, the job of that move down is to take out the low. And if it fails to take out that low, then we can actually be looking to buy here. Look at your volume profile to find out where the spots are where previous value areas turned out, because that's where price is likely going to want to return to. So you've got one down here and you've got another one up there. So they would be the target areas. All right, so that is the euro dollar. It's an interesting spot at the moment, but for now, not necessarily conceding that this is completely reversed. Okay, the dollar yen. I mean, just looking at this particular board doesn't give me any information really at all. The swings themselves seem to be compressing and coiling. If I'm being honest, you have a high, a lower high, lower high, lower high, and then we also got a low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So we're actually kind of compressing and coiling. So this particular board doesn't give me any information regarding the swings. It looks like it's consolidating and moving sideways. So if I just take a wider view and stare out, it's pretty clear to see that we are in a bearish trend. So I think I am looking to remain a seller on the market. And really, the trend defining level is to be bearish, perhaps below 107.50, or even a little bit more conservative at 107.6. I wonder whether this press line is actually still in play. No. There was an opportunity on the, well, actually, that's interesting. There's an opportunity on the yen over the last couple of weeks, couple of months, where you could pretty much just wake up and sell it. And just sell the yen. And it was just a really easy trade. You just wake up, wait for it to retrace this push line, and then just sell it. Sell, push trade, push trade, push trade, push trade. Now we've actually expanded through that line and we're testing it. So now we're at a kind of a crossroads where this is either going to be a wash of this particular press line. It's just going to turn around and continue in the direction it was moving. Or actually this is the time that's going to reverse. And it's testing that line on the underside. So it's a pretty interesting spot. I'm going to add this one to the watch list and we'll see how it plays out this week. All right, what have we got here? So we are on cable, and just looking at this, it seems to have a bearish bias. We did create this kind of mini bullish trend in the middle of that, but it looked to be, more than anything, a bit of a flag. However, the one thing that kind of interests me just to my eyes straight away as I look at this would be if you just take a center line or a median line and just pull it through these lows here. And let's just see whether there's anything going on. Just tag this one and maybe, so that's our center line. What we want to also do is pull two sliding parallels, and we'll take the first one up to a point of action, which would have been here. And then we'll look for opposite and equal reaction on the other side. Opposite and equal reaction on the other side. And well, there it is. So that looks interesting. You could potentially turn that into a pitchfork now. And it might give you some levels that could be interesting to watch. So if I just do this and turn that into a pitchfork, then we'll have a look and see whether or not that holds. If it does, then you'd imagine that price wants to retrace up to the median line. However, if it doesn't and it turns into Hagopian and it actually is rejected here at that 50% line there, which it seems interesting to watch, then if it turns into a Hagopian, then obviously it's going to break and continue to the downside. So there's a couple of opportunities. I'll add that one to the watch list as well. Okay, the dollar CAD. It's created some interesting structure recently, and in actual fact, there was quite a nice bullish trend here. So higher highs, higher lows, created this similar formation, double top, and failed to confirm a new higher high, and then took out a previous low. In actual fact, it's testing the second swing back. So this looks like it's ready to turn and roll over. Certainly wouldn't be selling from there. I'd be looking for a pullback towards testing one of these other minor swings first. So, yep, that's a watch list candidate. All right, the Aussie dollar. I mean, just zooming out a little bit on this one, this is completely sideways for me. I don't really think I have any opportunity at all. Yep, move on. There's nothing there. Okay, on any portfolio, you've got to have a pretty risky one. The pound yen is that one for me. GJ is volatile, to say the least. And it's interesting. But at the moment, there's a slight bias just based on where the swings are heading. So you've got high, higher, low. Kind of failed to take out the previous one, but held above this and then bust through that. And that's a typical shape. I would imagine harmonic traders will tell you all sorts about this, but I am not a harmonic trader that much. So I'm not going to look too deeply into that. So for now, I'll be thinking that this one retains its bias probably around about 146.4, somewhere around that level. If it holds above that and it manages to take out 148.5, then it remains bullish. However, you've got this fast accelerated move from here. The point of ignition was somewhere around this. That's going to be the target. So there's not a huge amount of white space to move into. So for now, it's not going on the watch list. EJ is another one that, again, is moving sideways. The swings are consolidating. There's a lot of chaos in here at the moment. I think it's just better to look for other markets. This one doesn't have a direction. We don't really want to be trading in ranges. We want to be trading in trends. Okay, so there was a trend here on the euro pound. We had higher highs, higher lows. And we've managed to move sideways here. We failed to take out this high up here at what, 90, pretty much, 0.9. And we've now started to form our own trend. We have not quite taken out the second swing back, which would be down here at 88.4, 88.3. As soon as it does that, that suggests a reversal for me. And yeah, I guess I don't have any particular opinion as to what I'm going to be doing on this one, so it's not going on the watch list. Okay, the DAX. Well, we're familiar with the DAX, and we've had a look at it already. Really, the main sort of thing to just keep it simple, really, at the moment, is to just watch that formation. Wait for it to decide which direction it wants to move from now. Yeah, this is definitely on the watch list for me. There are lots of things I can be doing with this today. Okay, the S&P 500. The most interesting part about this one right now is that guy there. That's a 60-minute wide range outside bar bullish, and followed with momentum. So that is quite. I mean, the moves happen now, so it's not really going to be something I can suggest as an opportunity to trade. However, I would like to see where the price comes back to that zone, baits that little value area there, and then buy from that zone. But how long it might take to get there, I don't know. But that's yeah, pretty clear spot that I'd want to buy from. But the S&P 500 is a market that I don't often trade that much. It's very, very difficult to do anything other than buy the American markets at the moment. They seem to only have one button. They seem to actually only understand how to do one thing, which is buy it. But we'll see how it continues. Okay, the FTSE. FTSE's following the DAX as much as it's gapped higher this morning. It seems to have actually closed that gap, which is interesting. And it is starting to suggest that it's creating higher highs and higher lows and creating that bullish bias. However, you've got quite a lot of previous highs above us. So the white space above is not particularly friendly looking. And I'd imagine this one wants to just continue to eat up some time, consolidate and move sideways. It's not particularly a market that you'd associate with fast moves or high volatility. So not a lot of excitement for me on the FTSE. The only thing you might want to look at doing is suggest whether or not this is a press or a push opportunity, and does this line continue to get battered and offer an opportunity to buy from it. We'll see. We will see. Now the Dow is interesting because there is this kind of low volume node here, which we're technically above. We shot through that on Friday afternoon, and if it does retrace, then it offers a clear opportunity to do exactly the same as what we had on the S&P 500, which is target this 1 hour wide range outside bar here, and a potential opportunity. So around about the 25,000 level could be an opportunity for a retracement buy. Possibly. Definitely not a recommendation. But again, it's very, very similar with the Dow. It's very difficult to be selling this market. It just really only normally seems to want to go in one direction, but it's not going to be a watch list candidate for me today until it gets down there. All right, the Nikkei. The Nikkei's been an interesting market. Watch out for this gap that was created here last week. See whether we get another bait of that zone. The higher highs and the higher lows are still in force. And technically, you could say that the second swing back is going to be 21.3, somewhere down there. Unless we take out this high here, which we then likely want to come up towards this value area, which would then confirm this low as most recent swing, and the second swing back will be there at 21,350. So that'll be the trend defining level for me in the short term. That's the Nikkei. Euro stocks. This is a nice proxy. If the DAX is a little bit too volatile and $5 a contract on the minis is too expensive, if it's moving 40, 50 points, and you don't have the bankroll to support that kind of trade, then the Euro stocks offers a much cheaper proxy. So you can trade that, and it's very, very high correlation. They're pretty much the same kind of market. So this is going to, I would say, almost identically follow what the DAX is going to be doing, or vice versa. And so it's also in a similar kind of wedge pattern formation. It has taken out some previous points of ignition, which were interesting. Not a huge amount of white space to move into, but it is forming a pretty clear valley here. And often when you get these sorts of formations, they like to complete and reach the base of the mountains or the tops of the valleys. So we'll see whether or not it does aim to get the 34.75. It's going to be on the watch list this week. All right, oil. Oil is always a good fun market to trade. It's quite expensive, but it is a good market because you do often get these quite sort of looping swings. So we just follow what's been happening here. We've got lower lows and we've got lower highs. So at the moment, it's suggesting it wants to continue to move lower. It has taken out a previous swing, which wasn't marked out here, but this guy here was a swing. So actually, we're about to test the second swing back. If we stay below that, 62.50, then I could probably still look to sell this. But the one thing that was interesting is that we've got another wide range outside bar here, about halfway in this move. That would suggest a balance point for me. It's almost exactly at 50%. Okay, so that's definitely going on the watch list for me. And we'll look at that in the premium webinar. Gold, we've got, again, similar sort of move to, in my mind anyway, what I was thinking about with oil. We had the low here, higher, high here, higher low, high high, started to suggest bullish. We've broken through the previous swing, and we are in a mini bearish downtrend. So it looks like for me we can continue to be watching this one stay below 1328, something around that level. I don't have any trades on gold. I don't have any setups on gold, but I do have a buy zone, which I've marked out, and I've got some orders which I'm ready to put out. So I'll chat that in the premium webinar as well. Just be aware that there's a double top, and this double top is normally a suggestion that previous swings are over, but we'll see. All right, I think that brings us to the end of the 16 markets. So that's that. So what we'll take a look at now is a quick view on the cryptos, and then we will wrap it up there for today. All right, so we've got Bitcoin first of all here. Now, Bitcoin's been on a pretty horrible looking downtrend and has been for some time. And the one thing that started to interest me over the weekend is that we start to be threatening some of these swings. Now, we are bearish below 10.1, which is this double top here. And if you just continue to follow these swings down, I can probably just change that up a little bit. 24-hour market, this one. So you'll notice that this particular guy here, that job of that swing was to take out him, and it didn't. By then taking out this, we're starting to suggest that something's going on, but technically that's the second swing back. So we are bearish below that, but it does look like it wants to be challenging those swings. Now, when you've got some nice clear swings, you can start using tools. People say there's no point using technical analysis on cryptocurrencies. Whoever says that doesn't have a clue about technical analysis. But you can definitely use it, whether or not it's going to be providing you the same level of information as it does on Forex, because the liquidity might not be the same, so on and so on. It doesn't really matter. But what else have you got besides understanding the repositories on GitHub and the coding, understanding the white papers and figuring out what the coding community is doing with the project fundamentally? That's the only thing else you've got. The only other thing you can use to analyze any cryptocurrency market movements is technical analysis. So it's, practice your tools, simple as that. So you can use fork work on this and just play your simple pitchfork through these swings. And you'll notice that it is actually responding to this. So again, we've managed to bounce off the lower median line parallel. We've tagged the median line. We've zoomed the median line. Now we're testing it from above. So it's pretty much following all of the patterns that you'd expect from swings. As long as you pick valid pivots, you'll generally tend to get reaction from these tools. So for me, I don't own that much Bitcoin, but I certainly wouldn't mind, or wouldn't have minded picking some up recently. Whether or not this is over and whether or not we're going to continue to head lower, it's difficult to say, but it's an encouraging sign for the moment. Okay, so Bitcoin I am definitely putting on the watch list. Ethereum is coiling, and we were in a bearish trend. We are starting to form higher lows and lower highs, which is not great if you want to be trading that. So you probably want to wait for this one to conclude what it wants to do. Not going on the watch list. Litecoin, I do own plenty of Litecoin. I believe in Litecoin. I think it's yeah, I'm not going to go into my opinions that much. But it is, again, starting to exhibit some kind of coiling behavior. It is creating higher lows and lower highs. So wait for this one to conclude. We have already tagged that. And again, so you've got this point of ignition here. And when you get a fast, wide range bar, often price is looking to go back to test that to form, like we said a moment ago, this kind of valley formation. And it did that pretty much perfectly, baited that zone, allowed opportunities for whoever was buying it there to get out of their positions and dump their coins. So we're into that zone again, still struggling to break above it. So again, just wait for this one to conclude, I think. All right, what else have we got? We've got Ripple or XRP, and this particular one seems to, hopefully now, be finding its feet because it has shed quite a lot of its value over the last few months. I own quite a lot of XRP. I bought in at 20 cents around about August, I think, last year. Can't remember when. But this one is still pretty much bearish, but it is starting to consolidate with the higher lows and lower highs. And so this one I'd like to see consolidate for a little bit longer, and then we'll be able to pick up hopefully some cheaper tokens if it does have another dig. Just be aware fundamentally with this particular one that it is releasing 1 billion tokens into the marketplace every month through its escrow protocol, I guess, system, whatever you want to call it. So there's always going to be a lot of supply on this. So even when it starts to get, its utilization is rolled out, and there are a lot more use cases, a lot more companies, larger companies using this, there's still going to be such a huge amount of supply, even if the demand increases. So I'd imagine this one is never really, well, I'd like to hope I'm wrong, but I'd like to see that. Let me start again. I would be surprised to see this one trading heavily above $2 anytime soon, just simply because of this huge amount of supply that there's going to be. But it's an opportunity to accumulate, possibly. So it's on the watch list for me. EOS is another one that's on the watch list. And again, I like the fact that it's starting to consolidate a little bit here because we have got a pretty significant dip. We've shed, nearly 50% since its highs up here. And so I am going to be watching that one, definitely. And Bitcoin Cash, I believe this is. Again, pretty much similar story to a lot of them. However, the only difference with this one is it has started to form higher highs and higher lows. So I'm going to be watching this one to maybe retest the 1060 level. Perhaps there's an opportunity to come and retest a zone like that. So we will see. All right. So that gives an idea for what I'm going to be watching across the markets, and plenty of opportunities that are out there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to close this one down, and we're going to open up the premium webinar where we're going to actually have a look at setups with opportunities to get in and buy and sell. Thank you for joining us today. We'll run this again next week on Monday. So come and join. Click the link on Twitter or Telegram if you want to come and join us and get involved next week. All right, guys, have a cracking trading day. Thanks for joining me this morning, and we will catch up again next week.